Welcome to On Top of PR with Jason Mudd, presented by Review Maxer.
Hello and welcome to On Top of PR. I'm your host, Jason Mudd with Axia Public Relations. Today we are joined by Ryan Spalding of Garage Living. Ryan is the Director of Franchise Marketing. He's based out of Toronto. And today we're going to talk about the franchise industry, home improvement and home services, as well as uniqueness and nuances of doing business in Canada and the United States. Ryan, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So Ryan, you started your career out in the music industry with Warner Music. Tell us, in a couple of sentences about your career path.
Yeah, right out of college, I ended up in the marketing department at Warner and kind of worked my way through there and, kind of worked in marketing, leading up to, I guess, 2020 when I joined Garage Living in their marketing department, which I guess was still relatively new. I was only the second people that they had hired for the marketing department. And since then, we've built out a really great team. We're now 5 people in the marketing department, and I'm really excited to see sort of where we continue to grow to.
Excellent. And what are some of the things that were kind of unexpected or insightful to you getting out of the music industry and getting into the home improvement and franchise space? Yeah,
the way that we market here is vastly different. I think we, everything is about measurement here. Planning and monitoring and measuring everything that we do, being able to attribute where the dollars are being spent and what that return on those dollars looks like. It's very analytical, which I enjoy. I find it to make a lot more sense now than perhaps previously when doing marketing. I'd say that those are kind of the major differences. We use a lot of the same sort of traditional marketing, whether it's a print ad or radio, television, video advertising. But we also use lead generation here. And that's sort of the biggest focus of our franchise owners is generating those leads to hopefully convert them to sales.
Yeah. So instead of maybe promoting a single artist or a group of artists and trying to get, records or sold or downloads and people buying tickets. Now you've got an audience of franchisees that you're trying to deliver leads to and also attracting franchisees to the model as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit of, we kind of have 3 real customers that we're somewhat marketing to, our partners and the franchise owners when we're talking about new products that we're releasing, and working closely with them on that. The end user, the homeowner that we are delivering the product and service to. And then, like you mentioned, there's franchise development, which is to find and attract new franchise owners in markets that are available. So there's 3 different sort of strategies we take in order to achieve results in those 3 areas.
Okay, got it. What are some of the similarities and or distinct differences between working to get consumers to buy, music and buy tickets to shows versus getting consumers to invest in home improvement?
Yeah, I don't know if there is a lot of similarities, to be honest. I guess you're still using the same sort of marketing principles. You're identifying your target market. You're looking at tactics to reach that audience. Whether it's through traditional marketing avenues or through digital marketing avenues. Or whether it's through a publicity campaign. We did that a lot in music as well. But I think the way that we market through lead generation is not really something that I was doing previously before moving into into garage living and into this type of marketing. So I think the principles remain the same no matter what. You still got to identify, your demographic, your target market, and build your strategy and your marketing plan to achieve your goals. But there's a lot more differences, I think, than similarities.
So Ryan, tell us more about Garage Living. When was it founded? How large is the organization today? And tell us more about what the company does.
Yeah, so the company started in 2005 in Toronto and started franchising in 2015. And that's sort of when they started to build up the franchise side, which is where I am today. In 2020 is really when we started to see growth start to expand. People were looking to, move on from maybe a corporate or office setting or a traditional corporate or office setting and go out on their own. And, the franchise side, especially those in the home improvement industry, really saw a lot of interest from new franchise owners. And I think we grew our network, probably added, close to 15 new locations during the pandemic, which was great to build up and strengthen our network. And for locations joining during the pandemic, it was really almost simple or easier to launch because everyone was really interested in improving their home during the pandemic. And generating leads, closing sales. People had extra money. They were working from home. They weren't commuting. They weren't traveling. There was no entertainment. So they were investing more in their homes. And the garage space is something that people don't traditionally think about. But when they're looking or when they're spending a lot more time in their house, they might be noticing that their garage doesn't look like the rest of their house does. So it was time to look into, the possibilities of renovating that space and what it could look like. And, that's where Garage Living does a really great job. We tend to be on the higher end side of things, more of a luxury product and service. And, we'll renovate anything in the interior garage space.
Nice. So speaking of home improvement, what are you seeing right now? I mean, do you feel like the bulk of the super majority of the big spending on home improvement has kind of stabilized, or is demand higher than it was before the pandemic?
I think the demand is sort of reverting back to what it was before the pandemic. People, again, like now you're maybe back in the office and commuting more and you can travel. Mm-hmm. There's options to spend your money in other places. And when people took, a few years break of potentially spending that money elsewhere, now they're looking at, going back to some of those entertainment and travel type things. So I think the demand is reverting back to it like it was before the pandemic, but that's not to say that opportunities aren't out there. People are still, they're still renovating their garage spaces and they're still coming to Garage Living to have that completed for them. I think the biggest difference we're starting to see now is just the change in economic conditions. So coming out of the pandemic, and we've seen interest rates go up. We've seen inflation become an issue. Things are costing more. People are taking a longer time to determine whether or not this is something that they want to do now, or if they want to put it off until next year or later on in the year. So we've noticed a few things happening. We started to notice this actually last year, and it was a message that we had sent to our network that here's what we're expecting is going to happen with things costing more. That's not any different from, the gas you put in your car or the food you put on your table. Your leads are going to cost more. Your competitors are going to be willing to pay more for those leads. And your client or your potential prospect might not convert as quickly as they were before. So the customer journey is changing. Advertising budgets have to change. We can still generate the same volume, but where we're seeing things change is conversion rates, click-through rates, those are the biggest areas of change, and cost.
Right. Yeah. And I think everyone's seeing that across the board. So, they should believe you that you're guiding them properly on that.
Yeah. It's a message or a conversation that we have all the time, because I think it's inherent to anybody. You kind of feel like you're out there on an island by yourself. And, when we talk to whether it's our paid search partners or Google themselves, or we talk to our counterparts at other companies or home improvement industries, they're all experienced. It's not unique to garage living. It's not unique to a garage living location in New York or California. It's industry wide. It's every single industry is experiencing a similar thing.
So home improvement is obviously a critical part, economic engine of our economy, both for the homeowner and for companies like yours. What are some of the best practices about getting homeowners, warmed up to your company, comfortable inviting your company into their dining room or living room or in your case, the garage, to give a quote and feel comfortable, working with your organization? What things have you picked up and learned in your career, Ryan?
Yeah, I think, the sales side is something that was really new to me. I was never really, exposed to that side of things. So I have learned a lot about how our sales teams are approaching clients and, finding that connection. I think that's one of the most important things is kind of connecting with them, finding some way to build that relationship and to build that trust. So it usually starts with us via a web form consultation request or a phone call. We do have a showroom model, so sometimes we get showroom walk-ins or referrals. I mean, referrals are a lot easier because it's coming from somebody you trust already who's probably had a good experience with the company. So, that is typically an easier path to, the in-person consultation. But if it is sort of a cold or a web form lead or something, it'll be followed up with a phone call, and that is sort of where the qualification process will begin. And it's important to be, upfront, honest. We're not the cheapest option out there when it comes to doing your garage or your garage floor, or your cabinets. You can find cheaper options out there, but the quality is where we really excel. So I think that those are sort of the important factors, is just building that trust and building that relationship. Being upfront and honest and transparent is super important. So I think if you kind of hit all those, check all those boxes, the customer or the potential client is going to have, feel good about inviting you to their home for us to take measurements, to do the drawings, and to present the quote.
Right. Okay. Well, Ryan, with that, we're going to take a quick break and come back on the other side with more On Top of PR.
You're listening to On Top of PR with your host, Jason Mudd. Jason is a trusted advisor to some of America's most admired and fastest growing brands. He is the managing partner at Axia Public Relations, a PR agency that guides news, social, and web strategies for national companies. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to On Top of PR. We are with Ryan Spalding with Garage Living, and we've got a few more questions for Ryan here in the On Top of PR studios. Ryan, so thank you for all your answers here so far. I wanted to tap into with you for just a minute and talk about online customer reviews. Kind of how are you using those today, and what advice would you give to our audience surrounding online reviews? Are they still important? Are they relevant? And what do you do with them?
Yeah, for sure. I think now more than ever, they're even more important than they perhaps were a couple of years ago, especially for our industry and our sort of segment. We had talked a little bit about how people's decision-making process or their customer journey is taking a little bit longer. Maybe they're being a little bit tighter, or considering where to spend that money, and perhaps they have a few different options to spend that money on certain things that they have on their wish list. And one of the things that people are doing is going to online reviews, whether it's Google, Facebook, or another platform, to see what the reputation is of this company, especially if they're not too familiar with it or weren't referred by a friend or a family or somebody trusted. That's the perfect place for them to go to. So I think Google reviews are obviously super important, just because they also feed into other aspects like your SEO, your local SEO on Google, your Google rankings. If you're responding to reviews, Google is going to see that you're an active business owner and is going to send more traffic to your website. So we have a platform that we use that helps to automate the process. It'll send it via text message as well as email. But we encourage all of our locations to be very active on it. We're responding to every single review that comes in, positive or negative. And it's been highly successful. We've got a really great partner that we work with, and our Google reviews have seen a dramatic uptick in the last year and a half. So would absolutely recommend to anybody out there, if you're not active with Google Business Profile, Facebook reviews, and other platforms to manage your reputation, that you should definitely get on that. And I think with people taking longer, and we're talking about this longer customer journey a little bit, social media, it plays a big role in that as well. And our organic social media team is very active in community engagement, posting regularly, filling up that feed with really great, whether it's video posts or feed posts, story posts. They're interacting on social media with people who are asking questions. But people are going to look to those profiles as well to see, are they active? Do they have a lot of followers? How are they responding to people leaving comments on those posts? So, it's just another way to manage your reputation and to build that social proof and that social trust.
Nice. I appreciate you sharing that. And I now that On Top of PR is sponsored by ReviewMaxer, which provides a very similar service for managing online reviews. And, I believe if you go to reviewmaxer.com/ontopofpr, there's a special offer for those who might be interested in that. Ryan, you're based in Canada, Toronto more specifically, or near Toronto, yet a majority of your locations are in the United States. So tell me kind of what are some of the nuances being based in Canada, but doing, a lot of marketing, both to attract customers as well as to attract franchisees to your organization. What are some of the challenges and nuances you face with that? Or is there not much of a difference?
There definitely is a difference. And, I think we're lucky that we work with a lot of really savvy business owners, franchise owners, where they know what their market is, where we should be targeting, whether it's through direct mail or digital ads. When we're talking about their Google ad campaigns, they're directing us onto these are the high value areas that we want to be servicing ads to. So we work very closely with all of our franchise owners to ensure that our targeting is set up properly, and that we're not missing anything, and that we're not targeting areas that they don't want to be doing work in. So, I think we kind of have to put ourselves in their position a lot of times. But when it comes to things like, working in USD versus Canadian dollars, we don't really run into that issue. Finding local advertising partners is not that difficult. It's a pretty level playing field. We have connections to a lot of the bigger media companies in the US already, or a local rep might reach out to one of our franchise owners, and then they'll direct them to the marketing department. So that's sort of how we treat things. Like we're the support team for our franchise owners, and they're the experts in their market, but we're the experts in marketing. So if somebody comes to one of our locations with a TV buy that they're recommending, they'll send it over to us and we'll take a look at it and we'll say, hey, this is actually a good value, or I would pass on this and maybe allocate this funding towards something else that we think will potentially draw on more leads or has a better brand awareness, is more easily trackable, or is going to tie into your overall strategy a little bit better than this particular campaign. But we're very, very active and very, very connected to all of our locations when it comes to their local advertising.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about PR for a minute. For full disclosure, we met because you were looking into a PR firm, and we connected that way. And we're now in a business relationship together for PR. But let's kind of what is Garage Living aspiring to accomplish in PR, and kind of what was the rationale for looking into using PR for your benefit?
Yeah, I think PR is incredibly important to the overall marketing and brand awareness that we are trying to achieve. When we're looking at our marketing plan and our marketing strategy, we're not looking at just one area of marketing, whether it be digital advertising or Google reviews, social media. We're not just looking at them in silos. We're looking at it as a whole picture. And I believe that PR plays a big role in that. And in some ways really tying it all together, because when we're getting mentioned through national media or local media, or our franchise owners are appearing on morning television shows, they're in their local, digital papers or physical newspapers, that's just creating more brand awareness. It's actually going to feed into our social media following, into our paid search, because now people are seeing our name or reading an article or seeing them on the TV, and now they're picking up their device and they're going to a search engine and they're typing in garage living or garage renovation, and we're running ads there, and then we're remarketing to them through display and through video and through YouTube. So it all sort of ties, it's this ecosystem of marketing, and it all plays a vital role. But that's why we liked all of this to tie together. And the garage space is a bit of an odd one, because a lot of people don't think of it as a space that you can renovate. They think of your kitchen and your basement and the bathroom and the bedrooms. And now we're going to landscape the backyard and the front yard. And it's almost sort of when they get to that final home renovation piece that they realize, oh, the garage, that's not completed. So we all, like all of us marketers, always talk about brand awareness. But one of the things that we've identified is there is also something that we have to work towards, which is category awareness. Just the fact that you can actually renovate your garage, and not only renovate your garage, but renovate it in a way that it's going to look as beautiful as the rest of your house. Right. And PR does a really great job of supporting that. We can tell a story, we can show images, we can show videos. We've had a couple of franchise owners appear on television, it shows the connection, it shows sort of the trust, that these guys are the professional in their space and they can help you solve some of the problems that you're having, whether it's a storage issue, or you can't park your cars in there, or you just want your garage to look as good as the rest of your house. This is the guy that can do it. Yeah, that's very interesting. And I can relate to that. We remodeled our home, I think in 2020, towards the end of 2021, mostly in 2022. And then it was like, okay, now the garage, right? And the problem for us is we still have stuff in there from the renovation. We used to park both of our cars in the garage. And when we renovated, we had to move stuff into the garage, and it's just so exhausting. We haven't gone through it. So honestly, I think I just need to get a dumpster and just get rid of it all. But we'll see. And so, Ryan, I think it's interesting. First of all, I agree with everything you said. Even for our agency, right, we kind of cut back a little bit on our activities and marketing and all that stuff. And
we scaled it back just out of time and resource. We were busy. We had lots of work and things like that. But then we noticed that, it really made an impact on our pipeline. And so we started bringing things back, slowly to see what was changing, what was moving. And it was really the holistic approach, like you're describing, of having everything running on all cylinders, right? The podcast, the search optimization, the Google AdWords, the PR. We made a concerted effort earlier this year to, take some of our own medicine, use our own services and things like that. And as we've leveled up all those things, our leads have actually increased. And so it was interesting to me because as a small business owner, I was looking for ways to scale back and still have the same results. And, there's a saying, I think it might be Morris Height, but I could be wrong, who said, I know half my advertising works. I just don't know what half. And the good news is in the digital age, we can attribute and source and track a lot of that. But the other stuff that's still out there is a little bit more difficult to track. There are ways to measure, of course, and evaluate. But I'm with you 100%, Ryan, that it seems to be this holistic approach where, ideally you want to be omnipresent, where your audience is seeing you everywhere. But I think if you have something short or you're lacking in one area, I think you really miss that whole 360-degree impact you could have.
Yeah, and to kind of build off that and give one other quick example, I mentioned during the pandemic we had a bit of a boom, and I joined in December of 2020. And we could launch new locations with just Google advertising, and within a few days we would have leads in the pipeline.
Right.
Guys were, there was leads lining up out the door. And if you didn't close that first one, that was okay because, 3, 4, 5 other people are there and
Right.
You're going to be able to close 2 or 3 of them for sure. Yeah. And it was great. We had a lot of locations do really, really well this way. We kept costs slimmer. And, we were off to the races. But in the past, probably about 8 months, 10 months, we can't do that anymore. And we actually had to build a new sort of onboarding and advertising and marketing program because we found if we would launch with just Google advertising, it takes weeks sometimes for us to really start feeling like you'll get a couple leads here and there, but to really start seeing the effect of those Google advertising campaigns, you needed to support it with, social media ads, great brand awareness. You could highly target them. YouTube advertising for remarketing for people that were touching with the ads and are going on to the website. If they're doing jobs, then we've got the trucks out there. We've got door knockers. We've got lawn signs. We're doing direct mail campaigns. Some locations have some very effective print magazines that work really, really well for us. So we're encouraging, and especially with new locations, we're encouraging them to be prepared with, this is what we expect or you should expect to spend upon launch. We can scale it however you guys feel, but yeah, it's not just like, let's go Google ads and leads are coming in the front door.
Right. Yeah, it's in some ways it's not as easy as it was, but seasons come and go, I guess, right? But it sounds like you had a great opportunity to expand your locations, your franchisees, and ultimately using PR and other things to build, your brand and reputation in the marketplace, and having those positive reviews and the social media and the SEO and good reputation and PR all happening at once is really sounds like the right formula. So. For sure. Ryan, as we're wrapping up here, was anything else you'd like to share with our audience? And because I have just a few more closing questions for you.
No, yeah, let's go to the closing questions.
Okay. Yeah. So rapid fire, Ryan. Tell us a little bit about your morning routine. Do you have a favorite podcast or activity you do in the mornings?
I don't listen to a podcast in the morning. My morning routine is very simple because I prepare the night before for the next day. So nice. I grab my breakfast and lunch out of the fridge, and after I'm up out of bed and ready to go to work, and I jump in my car because if I don't get out of the city by a certain time, because our office is north of the city, then I'm spending a little bit longer in the car than I'd like to. So, my morning routine is like, let's get up and get out and get on the road so I can get to work.
Nice. A book or resource that you recommend to other people?
With regards to marketing or?
Yeah. Yep. Marketing, PR, life, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit of a science fiction guy, so I tend to read like
Nice.
Neil deGrasse Tyson books.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. There was one from a speaker we had at our conference last year. But yeah, I stick to my sci-fi books.
Okay, awesome. Ryan, if somebody, one of our listeners wants to connect with you, where's the best spot for them to follow you on social media?
Well, I don't really do a whole lot on social media, but you can connect with me, I guess, on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you do that, for Ryan's sake, please be sure that you heard him on Top of PR, so he knows how to associate your request. But also, it sounds like obviously they could follow Garage Living on social media as well, right, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
That's where you're going to learn a lot about the company as well.
Ryan, I know I put you on the spot for these last few questions. Any closing advice for our audience about being successful in marketing and PR?
Yeah, I mean, now is a perfect time to sort of, flex your marketing muscle. It's when things get difficult, when they get more expensive, especially if you're working with franchise owners or small business owners, the first thing they tend to do is want to pull back on their marketing budgets. And that is sort of the opposite thinking of how we think as marketers. When things get tough, you want to up your budgets, you want to get more aggressive, you want to try to battle to bring in as many leads, as many opportunities as you can. And when we do fill that pipeline, we can start to slow those things down. So it's a great time for us to get creative. It's going to be frustrating and it's going to be difficult at times because if you're working with small business owners, it's very stressful and you got to put yourself in their shoes to understand where they're coming from. But there are opportunities out there, at least for us in the home improvement industry. We're still finding them. We're still having locations have really great years with sales. But it's tough, and you're not in this alone. We're all feeling it.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, this was a great episode. I appreciate you sharing your smarts and insights on franchising, on home improvement, on working with Canadian-U.S. kind of relations. So I really appreciate you sharing all that with us. And with that, we're going to wrap up. So thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jason. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Our pleasure. We're glad to be here. So with that, that's another episode of On Top of PR. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to connect with Garage Living on social media. And also, if there's a friend or colleague who you think would benefit from this episode, we would encourage you to share this episode with them as well through social media or an email link to it. And with that, we thank you for allowing us the opportunity to help you stay on top of PR.
This has been On Top of PR with Jason Mudd, presented by ReviewMaxer. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and check out past shows at ontopofpr.com.